All right, we're gonna carve for fun, okay? I'm out here in the afternoon here in Texas, and I'm outside now, and we're just gonna carve a little happy figure. Most of my figures are hobos and stuff like that, and the little 3-inch figure I have here, and I thought it would just be fun to carve a little happy figure, just something to make us go by. And I cut out a little figure. This is a normal figure that I have for a lot of mine, and we're just gonna have some fun. Just gonna have some fun carving, whittling, in other words, as we say. Now, as you know, we mark off our head, and we always go back here and put this back here, and let me see something here. I want to come down just a little bit there, so kind of at the bottom here. I don't want to do that. This is 3 inches long by about 1.25 inches wide is what it is. It's a normal little figure that we do. And I'm just gonna it was just pretty out here. I got some bread out for the squirrels. Even though this neighborhood is I'm trying to work on my house now, try to get my house back in line so that I can I don't know how long I'll live in it, I don't know, but try to get it back in line, and if I decide to sell it one day, I can. Hoping and praying that this year will be a good year for Southeast Texas. And in Texas right now, I don't know about y'all, but they claim the COVID-19 is spread in Texas, so yeah, everybody's got to wear them face masks. So anyway, we're in that situation right now. I think it's getting to be that way all over the world now. Everybody's going to have to wear a mask. And hear the birds? They're going after the bread. That's a blue jay. He's going after the bread. And we put some bread out, so they'll just kind of going around here, whittling a little bit. Okay, we just kind of go around getting this head kind of. Okay, now let's go down here and just get these shoes we just go around cutting a little bit. And then you have that. We got a lot of that around here. We got a lot of Mario Andretti's around. If you don't know who Mario Andretti is, well, look it up. He was I think most everybody knows who Mario Andretti was. Just kind of Cut around. Yeah, we got a lot of those around here that want to speed and get their cars. They want you to know they're on the road. Oh boy. I lived in a time in the I grew up in the 60s. I was born in the 50s. Grew up early 50s and grew up in the 60s. That was a wild time. Everybody thinks all this rioting and stuff is something new. Shoot. You should have been during the 60s. Same stuff was going on then. Just more violent now than I think it was back then. Not quite as violent. Okay, just kind of. That's the thing is, I just heard you have people come down the road and they got rap music on, and then next thing you know, somebody's coming down the road with Cajun music on. It's something else. We all can't be the same. Okay. I'm sorry, let me look at my... Yeah. I'm sorry. Let me look at something right here real quick. I apologize for that. Something. All right, let me bring this closer. I hope I didn't disturb you by all that. It's just more like it. There we go. It's when I bring the camera outside, it's harder to see at an angle or something like that. And I thought that I had lost my battery again, but I did not do that. Apologize for that. I hope everybody's well. That we are. I know right now there's a lot of problems going on. I'm gonna go ahead and just put this one in his pocket like I normally do. There's a lot of fear and problems going on right now, and I pray that everything will be right with you. We the Facebook site, if you haven't ever got on or gone to Let's Talk Carving, we've really got some good people on there that are, if you're on Facebook, called Let's Talk Carving. We've really got some good people on there that are answering a lot of good questions for carvers, and like I said, I consider myself a whittler, but it's the same thing. If you whittle or carve, if you're not on that site, go get on it. It's a very good site, and there's a lot of people asking a lot of questions and getting a lot of good answers. We've got some very good carvers on there that will give you good advice, so I'm glad of that. Okay, we just kind of cut that into the pocket right there. You know, I always put one of them in the pockets, and then the other one I'll do something else with it. We might make him a little bit fatter than he normally is. Go. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Okay, now this side, this just a little bit. Let me do this right here and put this hand right here. And let me just drawing it right there. Well, people go by here, got that music blaring as loud as they possibly can, and that's everywhere, I guess. It's just real strong here in Texas. Texas is a very, if you've never lived in Texas, I can tell you something about living in Texas. Texas is a very independent state. They like their freedom. They like their, their ways and means. People, we kind of have a, Texas is a variety of different people. I'm gonna tell you something. They are. All right, what I'm gonna do. This hand is a little bit. I'm gonna kind of bring this up right here. And I'm gonna come over like this, okay? Because I want to have him possibly with a drink in his hand or something like that. In other words. And we just want to cut this right here. It's a diversity of people, and we have towns. I live down there on the coast, and so our most, as we call, most liberal type city is, of course, Austin, and that's where Texas Tech is. Excuse me, Texas Tech is in, I'm sorry, Texas Tech is in Lubbock. I'm sorry. Texas Longhorns in Austin. And Texas A&M is in College Station, so that's our football teams. And Texas loves high school football. There is some controversy going on right now down in Texas over a high school football team, and in fact there's several of them that there's some controversy going on. Yeah, just like the Washington Redskins thing. We have a little thing called Port Neches Groves Indians, and they're trying desperately to make them change the name. And there's a lot of problems down here over that. A lot of people are really upset because that name has been around for a long time. See, I'm gonna have a little thing right there. So we're going through that controversy down here right now, and this is not this is not what I'm talking about. Is not political. Well, it is political, I guess, in a lot of ways, but it may be that way. I mean, once Washington Redskins have already chosen to change their name, and next it'll be the Atlanta Braves and things like that. And so there's some controversy down here over all that stuff, and I tell you, I try to stay out of it. I really do, because I'm retired now, and I don't, I'm not high school, but down here, high school football is just, it is ace number one in most people's bags and stuff like that. So there's some problems, of course, that we're having and stuff. And I hope they resolve it for everybody. Not that, because We have a lot of teams. We have the Port Neches Groves Indians and the Nederland Bulldogs and things like that. And maybe Peter will go after the Nederland Bulldogs for calling them Bulldogs. But world's in turmoil. But God's on the throne. Lord Jesus Christ. I worked in a refinery for 40 years. And let me tell you something, if you had a thin skin, you didn't want people to kid with you. And I tell you what, you wouldn't have enjoyed working in those places. People would. I've had my name made fun of and all kind of stuff. So you couldn't have a, and it wasn't meant to necessarily hurt. It was just people joking and playing, stuff like that. But that was a neat. So a lot of stuff went on. Okay, look at that, see? Okay. Yeah, Texas has a culture that is very, very, very patriotic. Now, I usually in our big cities like Houston, Texas, and I'm about 80 miles from Houston, east of Houston. They're pretty much diversified in a way, but they've got a lot of political corruption going on in Houston, Texas. Real bad. A lot of politics, corruption going on. My brother lives on the outskirts of Houston. He says it's pretty bad. But that's in any big city. Any big city, you've got these issues and these problems. Down here, it's a smaller town, so it's not as well as political. I think everything's political now, so everything's getting to be that way. But I've been to most places in Texas. I've been all over Texas. In many, many places. Okay, there we go. Now, we have the Texas Woodcarvers Guild down here. It has a pretty big show every year. Up in they've had it in different places. It was in Cleburne, Texas, and then it was in New Brunswick, and then it was New Brunswick. I don't know if you've ever been there, but that's the one famous for the Guadalupe River and the tube rides that go down the Guadalupe River. They're famous for that, and they're just right off of San Antonio. And I've been to San Antonio many a times, in the Alamo. And now, if you ever come down here and go to the Alamo, it's an interesting thing to see. Remember the first time I saw it, I went past it because I thought it was a big place. The Alamo really is a very small place if you've never been there. It really is. It looks big, but it's. And I was expecting a big fort like John Wayne, had and all that stuff. And I didn't get that. But I did enjoy the Alamo. I really did. Very patriotic. San Antonio is one of the big cities that we have that that Alamo was visited. Texas is so big, though. I mean, if you went, the way I understand it is, if you drove from one end of Texas to the other, it'd take you 2 days. Like from part of Texas to El Paso or things like that. It'd take you 2 days. That's the problem with living in Texas, though. Whenever you want to take a trip anywhere, it takes you forever to get out of Texas. Now, I live on the Louisiana-Texas border, basically, almost. We were the ones that got Rita so bad, and Rita and Ike did some pretty good damage down here. So, of course, Harvey, all these little places, but there's some beautiful places in Texas. There's some gorgeous, gorgeous places in Texas. That's why I like to talk. I mean, I love to travel and go places right now that COVID-19 is not. I've traveled to just about all the states except the Dakotas, and very impressed with America. Very impressed. America's and I mean, there's some bad places, don't get me wrong. I've been to California. I've never been to Los Angeles, of course, or anything like that. But I'm sure there's some good people in Los Angeles. I know they get a bad rap about how bad it is. I've never been to the inner cities of New York. Never been there. And I'll be honest with you, I don't really want to go. I'd like to go to upstate New York. I hear it's gorgeous up there. Okay, well, let's see. We're going to kind of work on this hand a little bit. Now, we're going to go ahead and cut here. And we're going to kind of bring that in a little bit. That's going to be kind of a drink he has in his hand. So, okay. And kind of cut into here. But, yeah,